Well, President Obama jumping headfirst into the marijuana debate that is raging in this country after taking some heat, after saying that it's no more dangerous, really, to smoke pot than it is to drink alcohol. Here's what he says in a very long New Yorker story that has just been published, okay? He says, as has been well documented, I smoked pot as a kid, and I view it as a bad habit and a vice. Not very different from the cigarettes that I smoked as a young person up through a big chunk of my adult life. I don't think it's more dangerous than alcohol, the president said. Michael Graham joins us now, talk show host for the New England Talk Network, and Richard Fowler, radio talk show host as well of the Richard Fowler Show. Gentlemen, welcome. Good to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, Martha.
Richard, let me start with you. What do you think about those comments?
Well, I think the president's right here. There's been no medical evidence that says that alcohol is more damaging than marijuana. One is legal and one isn't legal, which therein lies the problem. And I think that's the problem the president's trying to make here, is that they're both vices, but some vices are legal and some vices aren't legal. And I think it's a situation where we're picking winners and losers depending on the vice that you particularly choose. And there's a problem there.
Yeah, I find it surprising, Michael Graham, that, that nowhere, he doesn't, it is legal now in 2 states, but for, all of most of our lives, it was illegal, and, it also was when he was a kid, and he doesn't say, oh, it was illegal and I shouldn't have done it. He says it's a bad habit and a bad vice.
Well, first of all, I want to celebrate the fact that if you remember those old Budweiser commercials for the Bud Bowl, you'll be having in New Jersey the first real Bud Bowl, as the 2 states with legalized pot will be headed to your town to enjoy a football game. So that'll be very, very interesting. It's also fascinating to have the same White House that is screaming at me, put down the ice cream, stop eating those cookies, is telling me, dude, pick up a bong, what's the big deal? We should have the government tell you not to drink 20-ounce sodas. We should have the government tell you not to eat those fatty foods. But whether it comes to smoking pot, that's up to you. Now, of course, the problem is the more pot you smoke, the more you want the cookies and the ice cream. That is the collision.
It's just a vicious cycle, isn't it?
Yes,
it is confusing, Richard, as a mom of 3 kids, and they are being, told all the time, like don't drink, don't smoke cigarettes, all these don'ts, which, I think most parents do agree with. So they might find it a little odd that the president seems to be sort of saying, it should be legal and it's okay. It's just like alcohol.
Well, but I don't think the president went that far, Martha. I don't think the president said we should legalize marijuana. I think what the president said in the article, I think very well put, let's see what these states do, let's see how it works. But the truth of the matter is that not legalizing it, and like I said before, this is the only libertarian bone in my body that I got. I got to tell you, we've just really got this one. I don't understand when we can't roll back government regulation here. And on top of that, we know this will save our countries billions of dollars from nonviolent drug criminals, from nonviolent drug incarceration.
Yeah, I hear you on that. But
Richard,
his reason, just one second, the reason that he believes that it should be legal and that the experiment in Washington and Colorado is a good one is because he says that minorities are incarcerated at an unfair rate compared with non-minorities who are smoking pot, which raises the question, and that may be true in the numbers, but it raises the question, maybe we should be discouraging it across the board. Maybe there should be a campaign to discourage pot use among minorities, to say that, there's a better way to make it in your future and to take better care of your body. Seems like a strange argument to me.
But Martha, those campaigns exist.
Go ahead, Michael, and then we'll go to Richard.
I just want to say very quickly, you both made good points. Richard, you brought up the politics of this. There is a political aspect, and Richard shows the problem. Richard admitted he has one libertarian bone. President Obama and the Democrats know they have a problem with young voters. Tad Devine has spoken openly about the need to bring them back, and they have said explicitly, we're going to use pot legalization as a way to get these younger voters who have a more libertarian view to come back to the Democratic Party. They've been alienated by Obamacare and other policies. But how can you trust one bone in their body party?
Are they leaning towards being more open in their language and looking the other way where these 2 states are concerned because they think it'll help them with young voters? Yes or no?
No, I don't think that's true at all. I'm a young voter, and I don't think it's going to persuade me to vote one part or another based upon pot legalization. I think what the argument the president is trying to make is totally on cost here, right? You could save billions of dollars. You can bring back communities, to bring communities back together, continue cessation education, which we've already seen. We have DARE, we have GREAT in our schools to talk about don't do drugs, don't do alcohol, don't do cigarettes, don't do marijuana. But the truth of the matter is that 2 of those things are legal. Cigarettes are legal, alcohol is legal, they're horrible for your body. Marijuana has some medicinal uses and some medicinal purposes.
Yeah,
and it is
but the trend in
illegal.
the country, Richard, has to go towards making those things much more difficult for kids to get. Cigarettes are much more difficult for kids to get their hands on. Alcohol is more difficult for kids to get their hands on than it was when I was a kid. So why would you lean in the other direction with the other thing?
Well, but that's why the president, and I think a lot of lawmakers and a lot of governors are watching what happens in Washington and Colorado. How do they make, if they're going to legalize it, how do we make the regulations as stringent as possible so that it doesn't get in the hands of the wrong people, so kids can't get hold of it? And so I think that's why everybody's watching as well. How much revenue does it bring in, and how can we regulate to make sure it doesn't get in the hands of children? And I think the president would agree with you on both of those, and that's why it's been a very slow move to legalize this.
It's a curious argument and a big debate. He says that he told his daughters that it's not a good idea, that it's a bad idea to smoke pot, a waste of time, and not very healthy. Just to get that on the record as well. So, thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Martha.
Good debate.
Thank you.
12 minutes.